And without further ado, we'll be going into designing an interactive mobile application for an e-commerce website. Now, first of all, we've done our style guide, which we'll be using throughout this course. Also, we will be designing with the iPhone 14 frame, which is mostly what all screens use nowadays. So when you create your frame, the first thing I told you when we were talking about Figma layers is always name your layers. So I want to name this our splash screen. So on mobile, there's something we call splash screen, and splash screen has to do with the first screen that shows when you open your application. The first thing we want to do is decide if we want the user to log in or not. So for a shopping mobile application, it is not advisable for users to always log in first. Okay, it's okay for them to see the product and then decide if they want to buy as a user or they want to buy as a guest. So we are just going to move straight ahead, right? So for an e-commerce page, let's assume you have a page like that. It's called a splash screen. So let me put the splash screen on something gray, and then create something small like, okay, maybe this is the logo. Just put it like so. Duplicate it to this. Now this is top of my head. I'm not getting this from anywhere, so it has to be fine or not. So we could do this like so. Maybe take this to this side, and then let's have something like this. Hide system. So let's have something like this and just give it black. So let's say this is our logo for this app. So this is the first thing people see when they open our app. So the next thing we want to do is our home screen. So once this finished loading, the next thing they want to do is the home screen. So the home screen want to have things like new arrivals. We want to have a search button that they can search for. So we are just going to use a rectangle and create something like this. Now let's change this back to white because we want a white screen. So now before I move further, remember I told us about grid system. We can also do grid on mobile by going to our grid, turning our grid on, changing it to column grid. If you don't understand it, it's best to go back to our grid where we talked about it. Now change this to 8 grid, just like I do. Now for mobile, my margins are mostly 30 and my gutter is mostly 16. All right. So now I have to adjust this into my grid so it fits perfectly. So for this now, I have this as my setup. I can decide to turn off my grid by turning off from this point here so it doesn't show again. I'll just use this as an alignment. All right. Then I'll give this a corner radius of 8. So it can give me this curved edge or 16. Or let me just take it down to 32. Take it up to 32 so I can have something like this. Now this is search bar, so I'm going to reduce the color a little. Now remember we talked about plugin, and I'm going to use Iconify because I need the search plugin. the search icon rather. So I'm going to type search. And then I would pick a search. I'll pick my preferred search plugin. I think I like icons with rounded edges. So I'm going to pick this one and then import, and there it is here. So I'm just going to drag this into this and reduce my color. Now, this is where styling works. So instead of changing my color from here, I'm just going to go to the color style, pick it, and choose the color of gray I want. So I can choose gray 8 and it will give me gray 8 from here. So let's move ahead, and then I'll type search here or search for anything. And then remember, it's wireframing, so I don't need to be very bold. I will come here to my style, choose gray 8 as well, so it will be the same with this one. The next thing I want to do is put a text here that says latest what's the name word now, latest categories or latest uploads. Yes. And then this is a header. Now go to my text style and then give it header 4, too big, maybe header 5 or even header 6. Header 6 seems perfect. This text here, notice, is now taking the same text width and size of header 6. Now that is how you do your styling. Now once I put this, I can now put another text here that says see all. All right. Now notice I'm not adding color or anything because what I'm doing here is just a wireframe. Now on my text style, I can choose body text 14. All right. And then now I'm still maintaining 30. Then I can come and draw maybe something like this, give it a border radius of 16 so it can have a round edge. All right. So remember I said for my layout grid, the distance between one object to another is 16, right? Is 16. So that means the distance between this one and the next text should be 16. However, I can decide to use this rectangle to align my text and then check my alignments. Now to check your alignment, to check your distance between two objects, you can click on one, hold alternate or option, and hover around the other. It's going to tell you the number between this and this. All right. So I'm going to turn off my grid because most time grid doesn't allow you to see what you're designing properly. So this is what I'm going to do, and then another one, and then another one. All right. So now see this. This is inside my frame. That's why it's not showing outside. I have to create another text again. And now since we are working with wireframe, I don't always have to put text because I'm not concerned about text or anything. We'll get to that when we start doing UX writing. I can just put a rectangle here and then maybe duplicate it to become a smaller rectangle, and then give it a color for my gray to be maybe gray 9. All right. And this will serve as my test because I'm doing a wireframe. All right. Now I can do the same thing for just copy this, duplicate this, Control D will do the same for all of them. So we can have something like this. So let me make that smaller and take these guys up a bit. Now this is perfect. So the next one, I can bring this one down and maybe name it categories, right? And then put like a rectangle here. All right, add our border radius just like we said, and then maybe move it in like this. Give it a stroke. On the right hand panel, you will see under fill, you see stroke. What it means is an outline. So give it a stroke and then turn off the color. Now you can reduce your stroke to about 0.5. Now I can choose my style color again to like gray 8 and then type a text inside saying women. Now if you notice, the text is very bold, so I'm just going to go to my style and choose body text 10 and then bring it here, and then go to my color style and choose maybe gray 8 again, or in this case gray 10, or I can go as much as gray 11 or 12. 11 is fine, and then duplicate this. Remember, I'm using 16, and then maybe men, put this in the middle. Now these are not buttons, they are called tabs, and then children. All right, so this is a fashion e-commerce website, as you can see, and then we could have things like pets. Maybe they sell pet stuff or whatever. All right, now these ones I can change their colors to gray 8. Now the reason is I want you to know that what is highlighted here is women, right? So that means the women part has to be bold in terms of color than the rest, so that when you click on the men, it's going to be bold for the men. Now all this will be modified, but this is how you do your wireframing. So wireframing doesn't have to be perfect. I might likely change my spacing and all that, but this is just a prototype of how wireframing should be. So for the sake of that, I'm just going to drop this guy here. I'm just going to copy everything here because it's the same thing I'm trying to do. So I'm going to copy everything here, bring it down a little, duplicate it, duplicate it. So it means when you click on women, everything about women shows. When you click for men, everything about men shows. And when you click for children, everything about children shows. So now we have to create something down here, like a navigation tab. Remember we talk about navigation, but this will be a bottom navigation. So we need a list of icons, and one of them is the home, the search, the carts, and possibly the profile icon. So we are just going to use our plugin just like we did before. Run the plugin and type home. All right, so I'm going to use bold icon and then type there's search already, so I'm just going to type carts and then import. Now as I'm importing, they are actually entering my Figma board, so I don't always need to check. So I can have like history, or more like instead of an history, I can still have the search. All right, which one did I use? I think this works. Import, then I can have profile. Okay, profile. Now I have all of them, all four here. I will just bring them down. Okay, bring them down here, and just keep them like this. Now make them bigger, bring this one down to the right. I know you must have seen things like this on your phones, and then bring this together. Now it's not looking balanced. This is where alignment comes to play. So if I highlight all of them, I can come to this top. Remember we talked about alignment, and choose align vertical center. So if you keep your mouse on it, it's going to show you the name. So once I tap on that, it's going to align everything to the middle. Now if you go to the extreme end of that same option, you will see more options. If you click on it, you will see tidy up, distribute vertical spacing, and distribute horizontal spacing. What we want to do is make sure that the space between one icon and the other are the same. So I'm going to click distribute horizontal spacing, and it's going to keep the space between this guy and this guy to be the same with this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. I can change this tray to a gray color, gray 8, and leave this on black. Why? Because I want people to know that this particular page is our home page. Okay, so let's move on to the cart page. All right, this is the cart page. So now that we are on the cart page, the home page changes to gray 8, and the cart page changes to black. All right, now we change this to carts. Okay, we change it to carts. Now we don't need everything here again, so we have to delete this and then design our cart page. All right, so before we design the cart page, we want to have what we call a product page. So I'm going to change this cart back to its initial color, which is gray 8, and the home page to black. So still on the home page, let's create our product details. So imagine you want to buy something, and then you click on the product that you want to buy from here. What's it going to look like? So now we don't need the search again, so we're just going to delete the search, and then maybe create a rectangle here. All right, so this is going to have the picture of the product that you select. Now let's assume the product has different variants, such as colors. You want to see the different sides to it. We'll just create what we call a carousel. So I'm going to create a small circle, then duplicate it, then duplicate like 4 of it. Make the first one as bold as possible by choosing gray 9, and then the remaining one can go to gray 7. Now this shows me that this is the first slide, so I'm just going to pick all and then put it in the middle. All right, I have to change my gray 9 to something very dark a bit. So let's say I change it to, okay, the gray 7 to gray 9, and gray 9 to gray 12. So this is better. But let me use gray 9 to 8. Yes, this is okay, works for me. And then put it in the middle. All right, now remember I've moved from this screen to this screen, so that means I need an arrow that can help me go back. So remember we have arrow in our shapes, so I'm just going to pick arrow and then draw one like this, then move it inside. Remember I'm maintaining a pixel of 30 for margin, and then move it like so, right? So that once you come to the page, you can always go back to your previous page. So an image will be here, we'll come to that later on. And then the title of the product you're buying. So I'm just going to bring this here. Now in this case, I'm going to make it bigger, so it gives me the title of what I'm buying, and then possibly the price. All right, then I'm going to bring this search button because I need like a drop down of size, colors, and all that. So we are just going to name this size. Okay, and then we are going to move and name the second one color. Okay, so now we have size and color. Now for our button, I'm just going to copy the primary button and then paste it here. Okay, and then put add to cart rather, and then also copy the secondary button and put by now. All right, so I can decide to say my primary button will be, now you're not trying to be perfect, okay, because this is like your first design, so I'm not expecting something perfect, but this is close to it. So I can change this to buy now because that looks like a better action or a primary action, and then add to cart. Sorry guys, add to cart, and then I can have it like this. All right, now this is not meant to have color, but I just wanted it to have that feel, but it's not meant to have color, guys. It's not meant to have colors. That's why, yeah, could work like this. So yes, we'll be able to create this. Now let's move over to our cart. All right, so now we are going to change the color of this. I'm just duplicating my screen so I don't have to always go to my frame, and then change these to 8. So I'll have to delete everything on this screen because apparently we don't need it. All right, so something is apparently missing from the previous screen, and that is our sizing. So I'm just going to bring this down. So I'm just going to put quantity. We'll definitely review this later. All right, so now we have this, we have our carts. All right, guys, we have our carts. So we could just copy one of these fonts, one of these right up here, and add it my carts. Remember, I'm maintaining a grid of 30 by the side, so I can call it my carts, change my header to 5, right? And then the name of what I want to buy can come here. Okay, and then possibly a picture, or I think a picture should go first. Let this go here, and then a picture of what I want to buy will come here. Okay, a picture of what I want to buy will come here, and then my quantity will now come here. However, it won't be like the other one, so I'm going to have something like this with rounded corners, and then maybe a circle like this here. Change the color to pure white so it can be seen. Okay, reduce this a little, take this to the right, or just here. Perfect. And then add a text here and just give it 1. So this text can be reduced to become body text 14, and then just put a minus and a plus. So the plus goes here, the minus goes here. So that means I can add orders to this order that I can choose. I'm just going to change it to grade 11 or maybe grade 10. Yeah, this works because it's a wireframe. And then I'm going to just pick any of my buttons here. So this can come down so I can have my pricing. So my pricing can be here. This can be my pricing, but it has to be a text. So let me just use a text for that so you understand it. So this will be my pricing, maybe let's say $100, but it's too big, so I'm going to use header 3. Sorry, I say header 3, header 5, or maybe header 6, right? And then change the color to gray 10 or gray 11. All right. So now I can stretch my text and say check out. All right, and say check out or continue to check out. Then maybe put the price there and say $100. All right, so we're going to stop here for now. In the next section, I'm going to show you the high fidelity. Now this is what the low fidelity or wireframe of the design looks. All right, and then I also showed you how we're able to use our styles to get what we want on here. So let's move over to the next one, which is the high fidelity, where we now apply colors and possibly bring in images and do some other Figma tools that we didn't really explore.